This video examines the International Court of Justice Artsakh case preliminary moot, focusing on the legal issues of sovereign immunity and jurisdiction. We are looking at the International Court of Justice preliminary moot hearing concerning the Artsakh case and the principle of sovereign immunity. Artsakh functioned as a self-governing entity for over 30 years without effective control from Azerbaijan. Following military operations in 2023, Azerbaijan detained 23 Artsakh officials and civilians, now prosecuting them under domestic criminal law for acts committed in Artsakh. These trials are viewed as politically motivated. Artsakh maintained self-governance for 3 decades. Azerbaijan is prosecuting detained Artsakh officials and civilians under its domestic law, despite lacking effective control during that period. International observers are barred from these politically motivated trials. The key questions presented are: does Azerbaijan have lawful jurisdiction? Do Artsakh officials enjoy functional sovereign immunity? Does the retroactive application of Azerbaijani law violate international law? And finally, do the trials violate international humanitarian and human rights law? Azerbaijan's prosecution is unlawful because Artsakh exercised self-determination, granting its officials functional immunity. Azerbaijan cannot apply its domestic law extraterritorially. The prosecutions violate the Geneva Convention IV and the principle of nullum crimen sine lege, alongside fair trial rights. In summary, Artsakh's self-determination provides officials with functional immunity. Azerbaijan lacks lawful extraterritorial jurisdiction and violates Geneva Convention IV by applying domestic law in occupied territory. The prosecutions also violate the nullum crimen sine lege principle and fair trial rights. Artsakh functioned as a self-governing political entity for decades. This self-determination right established its legal and administrative structures. Since Azerbaijan lacked effective control, Artsakh officials are granted functional immunity, which the current prosecution disregards. Artsakh's self-determination created its legal structures, granting officials functional immunity for acts performed in their capacity. This immunity should shield them from prosecution under Azerbaijani law, recognizing Artsakh's de facto statehood status. Azerbaijan cannot apply its domestic law extraterritorially, as international law limits jurisdiction over other territories. Furthermore, Geneva Convention IV explicitly prohibits the imposition of law on occupied or disputed territory. The principle of nullum crimen sine lege means no crime without law. It prohibits punishing actions not criminalized beforehand. Azerbaijan's retroactive application of its laws to Artsakh officials violates this fundamental international law principle. These trials are described as politically motivated, with international observers being barred. The accused are denied fundamental fair trial guarantees. Imposing Azerbaijani law also violates the nullum crimen principle. Self-determination grants peoples international legal personality, as affirmed by the ICJ. Artsakh's people exercised this right through a 1991 referendum, leading to continuous self-governance and sustained effective institutions. The ICJ has affirmed that self-determination grants legal personality, which Artsakh's people demonstrated. The officials' functional immunity must be respected, and the court has the ability to address Azerbaijan's unlawful extraterritorial jurisdiction. The ICJ has established clear precedent on immunities. Functional immunity shields officials acting in their capacity. International precedent limits a state's jurisdiction, making it imperative for the court to recognize the official's functional immunity. In conclusion, Azerbaijan's trials are unlawful under international law. We must respect Artsakh's legal system and functional immunity. We demand the immediate and unconditional release of detainees and urge international bodies to condemn these illegal prosecutions. Self-determination grants peoples international legal personality, a principle repeatedly affirmed by ICJ advisory opinions. The people of Artsakh exercised this right through a 1991 referendum and sustained self-governance, creating effective governing institutions. Self-determination creates international legal personality. The ICJ has affirmed this in cases like the Western Sahara, Namibia, and Kosovo advisory opinions. Artsakh's people exercised this right through a 1991 referendum and continuous self-governance. To recap, the prosecutions disregard Artsakh's self-determination right and the functional immunity of its officials under international law. Azerbaijan lacks lawful extraterritorial jurisdiction, and the trials violate fair trial rights and appear politically motivated. Artsakh's officials possess functional immunity for their official acts. This immunity, stemming from Artsakh's self-determination right, should shield them from Azerbaijani prosecution. The prosecution disregards Artsak's de facto statehood status. The ICJ's Western Sahara Advisory Opinion from 1975 affirmed the role of self-determination and the principle of legal personality. This is a key precedent, supporting the legal arguments presented for Artsakh. The Western Sahara Opinion strongly affirms the right to self-determination and international legal personality. This 1975 ICJ precedent bolsters the legal arguments concerning Artsakh's standing. The Western Sahara Opinion is a key 1975 ICJ precedent that affirmed the role of self-determination and legal personality. This advisory opinion provides strong support for the arguments regarding Artsakh's international standing. The key takeaways are that Azerbaijan's prosecutions violate international law principles, Artsakh officials possess functional immunity, and the trials disregard the right to self-determination. We must demand the immediate release of detained Artsakh officials. The 1971 ICJ Namibia Advisory Opinion also affirmed legal personality principles and the right to self-determination. This case serves as another key legal precedent that strengthens the arguments for Artsakh. The 2010 Kosovo Advisory Opinion further supports the principle of legal personality. This key ICJ precedent for self-determination strengthens our legal arguments concerning Artsakh's international standing. The 2010 Kosovo Advisory Opinion is a key ICJ precedent supporting international legal personality. This precedent is relevant to Artsakh's right to self-determination and strengthens the legal arguments for its status. In summary, ICJ opinions like Western Sahara, Namibia, and Kosovo affirm the international legal personality of peoples. They provide strong support for the principles of self-determination and legal standing. ICJ opinions, including Western Sahara and Namibia, affirm the international legal personality and the right to self-determination. The Kosovo opinion is also relevant to Artsakh's international legal standing. The future legal strategy involves advocating for functional immunity in international forums and challenging Azerbaijan's unlawful extraterritorial jurisdiction. We must demand the immediate release of all detained officials and urge international bodies to condemn these illegal prosecutions. The main arguments against the prosecution are Azerbaijan's lack of lawful extraterritorial jurisdiction and the functional immunity possessed by Artsakh officials. The prosecutions violate the nullum crimen sine lege principle and disregard Artsakh's right to self-determination. Azerbaijan lacks jurisdiction to apply its domestic law to Artsakh. Territorial jurisdiction requires effective control, which Azerbaijan did not exercise for over 30 years. International humanitarian law, specifically Rule 157, limits jurisdiction, and none of the established bases apply here. A claim of sovereignty alone does not create criminal jurisdiction without effective control. The requirement of effective control limits territorial jurisdiction and must be satisfied before jurisdiction can be established. Artsakh officials enjoy functional sovereign immunity. The ICJ's arrest warrant case affirmed that officials acting in an official capacity are immune from foreign criminal jurisdiction. The Pinochet case confirmed that immunity is only removed for universally recognized international crimes, not for administrative or political acts. Azerbaijan's prosecutions violate the principle of non-retroactivity officials of de facto or unrecognized Article 15. Therefore, Azerbaijan cannot prosecute Artsakh officials for governance, is a universally binding customary international made in their official capacity. Azerbaijan cannot retroactively criminalize conduct performed under Artsakh law. Azerbaijan violates Geneva Convention IV, Articles 64 through 66, which prohibit imposing domestic law and replacing local penal systems in occupied or disputed territories. Prosecuting civilians under the occupier's domestic law directly contravenes these limits on occupier legislation. The trials violate human rights law, including ICCPR Article 14 on fair trial rights and Article 9 on arbitrary detention. Reports of denial of counsel, closed proceedings, political motivation, and coercive interrogations render these trials unlawful under customary due process norms. Azerbaijan denies the accused fundamental fair trial guarantees. These politically motivated prosecutions feature closed proceedings, exclusion of international observers, and reports of denial of counsel and coercive interrogations, constituting serious human rights violations. In synthesis, the prosecutions disregard Artsakh's self-determination right, despite officials possessing functional immunity under international law precedent. Azerbaijan lacks lawful extraterritorial jurisdiction, and the trials violate fair trial rights and the non-retroactivity principle. Artsakh officials possess functional immunity under international law, shielding them from Azerbaijani prosecution. Azerbaijan lacks lawful extraterritorial jurisdiction over Artsakh, and the trials disregard Artsakh's de facto statehood status. This marks the end of our video discussing the legal issues of sovereign immunity and jurisdiction in the Artsakh case preliminary moot.